this is Jason, your fitness captain again. Can you tell I'm confident? And I'm just trying to inspire your passion, of course, to work out. Hello again, my amazing YouTube community family everywhere, especially all you amazing, fantastic boxing fans, of course, you guys and gals out there. My name is Jason Boxing and Fitness. That's what I go by, even though, as I said in my last two videos on Errol Spence Jr. and Tim Tszyu fights, I myself haven't boxed in over 7-8 months or worked out because I'm dealing with an intercostal injury. But I know you're not here to listen about that, are you? No, you want to hear hopefully my analysis, and I appreciate you being here, my friends. I'm going to give you my analysis on the Anthony Joshua fight versus, remember he fought Kristian Prenga just on July 25th as well, Saturday night from Saudi Arabia. But before I give you my thoughts, my opinions, my analysis, and these are just my opinions and thoughts, but before I do, just a real quick reminder, everyone, if you enjoy my videos, you know what I'm about to say. I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you hit that thumbs up. It helps with the algorithms if you like my videos. And hit the bell icon to be notified for future videos. And if you leave me a comment, apparently that helps with the algorithms as well, and ultimately getting the videos ultimately out to you guys and gals out there, my friends, okay? And feel free to share this video too, okay? So without further ado, Anthony Joshua, of course, the former two-time world heavyweight champion, Olympic gold medalist. He's had an amazing, illustrious career. I followed a lot of Anthony Joshua's career. I really admire the guy in a lot of ways. I admire his boxing style as well. I admire his courage, his heart that he has shown. And of course, I got a lot of empathy. And again, this man has shown to be a survivor at that, because he had a tragic car accident, we know, 7 months ago or so. And he lost two good friends, apparently. Apparently, that's a fact, right? He lost two of his very good friends. So I can't imagine what he went through. So, but he came back. He boxed again, he fought again, and he fought this Kristian Prenga character, but he's a real professional heavyweight. And Kristian Prenga, he's a power puncher, even though he's not had, of course, near the illustrious career Anthony Joshua has. I wouldn't say Kristian Prenga is a journeyman, but he's a power puncher. He's had 20 knockouts in his 20 wins, but talk about a lack of experience compared to Anthony Joshua and lack of pedigree, because Kristian Prenga, one of the guys he fought who had a losing record, had 10 wins and 9 losses. Are you kidding me? But anyway, so I think obviously the goal was for the people that are handling Anthony Joshua by and large, you know, that being the promoters, managers, etc., they were hoping that, I think that Anthony Joshua might, you know, carry this guy maybe a few rounds or whatever, make it somewhat entertaining, but that Anthony Joshua hopefully would not be in dire straits. He wouldn't take too much damage, obviously, and that Anthony Joshua would by and large dominate, look good, and beat this Kristian Prenga. We saw almost the complete opposite, didn't we, my friends? This is why I'm talking about it today. Was this fight fixed? I'm bringing that up too, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So what happened? Anthony Joshua, I think he was genuinely hurt. Anthony Joshua was not acting, of course. If this fight was fixed, we'll get more into that in a moment. If it was scripted, Anthony Joshua had no part in a script during round 1. Anthony Joshua, unfortunately, a lot of people talked about it. His chin, he's never had apparently the strongest chin. And his chin may be more compromised. I don't know. Many people think that it is. Carl Froch thinks his chin is totally compromised and shot. And we'll talk more about Carl Froch's statements later in this video. But, you know, again, to Anthony Joshua's credit, though, folks, he may not have the strongest chin throughout his career. That may be true. There may be, you know, a suspect chin at times. But the guy, he's in such great condition. I think this plays a huge role in that we know Anthony Joshua has never been KO'd. He's never been laid out. He's, so you got to give him credit. He always gets up. He's been knocked down, 8 times in his career now, including if you add the Kristian Prenga knockdowns, or 6, 7 times anyway. So, but he was this close. And all of Anthony Joshua's fans, I'm one of them, the millions of his fans around the world, they were this close to probably feeling demoralized, because Anthony Joshua was that close to losing this fight in a big way. He almost got KO'd, and there's arguments, people I've heard make arguments that the ref maybe should have had the 3 knockdown rule, because the 3 knockdown rule was in effect. Anthony went down, didn't he, once with the gloves on the canvas? That counts as a knockdown. There was another time the ref, I think, added correctly a knockdown, or a TKO. No, a knockdown, right? But the third time, one of the times, the ropes looked like they were holding Anthony Joshua up. So technically, maybe another ref might have had a 3 knockdown rule and Joshua would have lost. Thankfully, that didn't happen. But Anthony Joshua, he got hurt from Kristian Prenga's right uppercut, right? The first uppercut, I believe, was. And I don't know if it hit Anthony flush on the chin. It may have just sort of clipped him, but it did enough damage. And maybe, again, Joshua's chin is even more suspect compromised these days. I don't know. But we saw Anthony was seriously hurt. He didn't know from one corner or one part of the arena to the next, probably. His brain was scrambled, it looked like. And even his legs. I mean, in round 2, so he almost got knocked out. Anthony Joshua, to his credit, he survived. He comes out for round 2. But here's where I question, and there's been many people talking about conspiracies and asking the question, at the very least, was this fight scripted? Especially like round 2. Because, was Anthony ordered possibly to give a signal to Kristian Prenga to take a dive? That you're going to take some shots, you're going to go down, okay? Because remember, or maybe Anthony Joshua literally had cramps or a leg problem. I've never seen him do this, but he sort of held his leg twice, didn't he, folks? At least once. So I think, and I question this, or you would think it would go back to if the fight was fixed, if there was a script in round 2 that Kristian Prenga was to take a dive at this point, did one of his handlers basically tell Kristian Prenga and or threaten him and say, dude, you got to take some punches now and you got to make it look real. You got to go down. You got to get knocked out. And Kristian Prenga, he didn't look very happy. And the guy, as Carl Froch and others said, he came out with a totally low energy, different energy about him. And Carl Froch, he told you, my friends, as much. Carl Froch was giving his analysis saying this looked very strange, I believe Carl Froch said in so many words. Now, Carl Froch didn't come right out and say that it was a fix, because in Carl Froch's position, I don't think he feels like he can really do that. But to Carl Froch's credit, my friends, Carl Froch has always been honest, upstanding dude, and he tells it like it is. He told you that Kristian Prenga, round 2, he basically throws one right hand, a couple little jabs, and he gets in a clinch. He looks at his corner. He takes a few steps back, and then he goes down. He takes a couple of shots from, of course, the powerful Joshua, but this Kristian Prenga collapses on the canvas. Was that part of the script? Was Kristian Prenga told to do this? Because again, everybody knows there's so much money on the line, so much attention. This is everyone and all of Anthony Joshua's fans. I'm one of them. We wanted Anthony Joshua to fight Tyson Fury, right? And now it's going to happen. This is a massive fight in England, in the UK, right? But you can't have it happen if Anthony Joshua gets knocked out, either in round 1 or round 2. Obviously, Anthony Joshua, to his credit, he survived round 1, largely dominated by Kristian Prenga. Again, Anthony Joshua was flopping all over the place, it seemed. This close to being apparently losing, it looked like, right? But he comes out for round 2, and all of a sudden, are you kidding me? He's able to take out Kristian Prenga the way he did? I mean, Anthony Joshua was capable of it. Everybody knows this, right? With his abilities, amazing abilities and talent. But, or though, like, was there a fix involved here where Kristian Prenga took the dive? You know, because Anthony Joshua, I think it's safe to say, folks, even though, again, he's still an amazing fighter by and large, but, you know, he's not the same, right? Everybody knows him and Tyson Fury, they're past their primes. When they fight, now that the fight will probably come off, this is 5 years after the fact. So 5 years is a little bit late, but better late than never, I must admit. I want to see the fight. So, again, very, very strange, I thought, in my opinion, round two, my friends. And I'm not the only one that said it. Like I said, Carl Froch gave his opinions, talking about how strange he thought this was, and that he watched some of the conspiracy theories about it, and he says there's a case to be made. Again, he didn't come right out and say, yeah, I think it's a fixed fight, but he thought there was a case to be made. That says a lot right there, doesn't it, folks? And I'll tell you, Barry Jones, former world champion turned commentator. By the way, I hope you guys are having an amazing day or beautiful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. I had to add that, and I sincerely say that, my friends. Where did that come from? But no, I thank you for watching, listening to me as well, taking your time. But Barry Jones, former world champion turned commentator, said it was very strange while he was doing commentary on the fight for the Zone. Spence Oliver, a former European champion and close personal friend of Anthony Joshua, said it was strange as well, although neither he or Barry Jones were entertaining the possibility of a fix. And you got to realize their positions, folks, right? You know, I'm a nobody compared to that, and I'm just giving my opinions here. But I thought that was interesting. So they're admitting it's a strange, very strange fight, strange happenings there. I believe his name is, oh gosh, what's his name here? James Farr, I believe, said he was a former experienced amateur, former middleweight that fought Joseph Parker and Frank Sanchez, said on his YouTube channel, again, I believe it's James Farr, but he's got a YouTube channel. Again, he's got a lot of years experience as a boxer, fought Joseph Parker, Frank Sanchez, as I said. He said in his YouTube channel that he is entertaining the possibility it was a fix. And this is the same guy, my friends. This guy is a professional boxer. So he's been around promoters, managers, right? He's the real deal. And he fought in Saudi Arabia, apparently, on a big card. And he's telling you he's entertaining the idea the fight was a fix. I mean, just open your eyes. You know? I mean, is that possible? I think it's possible. And let me just see here. Oh, and the same boxer that I'm talking about, folks, that entertained the idea that the fight was a fix, he also did add, apparently, that he also talked about less insidious ideas as well. So he's, you know, he's sort of all over the board, but he's giving you his opinions. And Simon Jordan, a sports pundit, some of you may have seen his X post. Apparently he posted on X right after the fight, basically insinuating that this fight was a fix, or could have been, and then talked about the money briefly in the statement there, I believe. And so right after the fight, he seemingly made, again, saying the fight was strange, suggesting the fix was in. And then you got I always get his name wrong, I'm sorry, the former champion, Paulie Malignaggi, right? Paulie was saying how strange this fight is, and he realizes, you know, obviously it's a big money fight in the UK, in England. He knows it's huge. It's going to generate a lot of money and attention, as I said earlier. But Paulie's also questioning. He doesn't, like, his big thing is, and he talked about some of the oddities he thought of that fight, but he's also questioning, again, realizing that it's so important for a lot of people for this fight to come off between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury ultimately. He literally said, I understand why they have to make this fight. He says, I am intrigued. And he admits he's an Anthony Joshua fan as well. He likes Anthony Joshua. as do I and millions of people around the world. Why wouldn't you root for somebody like Anthony Joshua? And particularly now after he was in this tragic car accident 7 months ago. My God, unbelievable. He's a survivor, and God rest his friends' souls. But Paulie says also, he says, I understand why they have to make this fight. I am intrigued and I am interested. It's just when you got to jump through so many hoops or so many humps, he says, to make this happen, is it, and then Paulie asks the question, is it a money grab or is it entertainment? And that's where Paulie struggles and asks the questions. Let me repeat him again, my friends. He says, is it a money grab or is it entertainment? And was it such a money grab and to provide entertainment that ultimately in round 2, when everybody knew that Anthony Joshua just about was KO'd, did somebody in Prenga's corner, for example, one of his managers or cornermen, did they threaten Prenga or tell Prenga, you got to go down. You're going to take some shots now. You're going to go down. And again, these are professional boxers, my friends. If it's a fixed fight, yeah, many times in the past when it's a fixed fight, the boxer realizes, the fighter, they know they're going to get clipped. They know they're about to take punishment if they're going to, just fall on the canvas without getting hit normally, right, folks? Unless it's Muhammad Ali, Sonny List in the first fight, if you think that was a fix. But that's a whole other ballgame there. But no, seriously. So as one person was talking about Prenga, if it was a fix, he could have literally, and again, Carl Froch, by the way, my friends, Carl Froch also added, to the strangeness of the thing. He was describing how, again, Prenga had his gloves half up, half down in round 2, right? Different energy, throws a right hand, just a few little jabs, right? Then, of course, he said Joshua looked more in control, looked more like himself. And obviously we saw Joshua, I guess, land some punches, obviously, on Prenga. But again, if Prenga's told you got to take some punches and go down, that's what a fighter might do, my friends, with so much money at stake. And then, obviously, the handlers, the managers for Prenga and Prenga himself, you hope that he doesn't take too much damage. That's a one-time deal. You go down. Hopefully the shots don't get, real flush on your chin. And you don't get brain damage. You go down and you've got a lot more paydays to come. And Prenga might get a title fight in the future. He's got a bright future ahead of him, and I'm glad. But, let's be honest here, folks. I wish, again, do I know the fight was fixed? Of course I don't know. I'm not going to say and be so self-righteous and say, yeah, I know it was fixed. Look, folks, it's so suspect, so strange. Come on, it had to be fixed. But you got to wonder. Sure as hell looked like it in some ways. But anyway, I just wanted to discuss that with you. Please leave me a comment, folks, if you feel like I will read them. Let me know. Do you think the fight was fixed? Or do you think it was likely a fix or no fix? And if you don't think the fight was fixed, tell me why. Do you think it was just so happened that Anthony Joshua was able to come out for round 2 and put the beating on Prenga the way we're supposed to believe, and that Prenga collapsed on the canvas? Carl Froch thought that was very strange how he collapsed on the canvas from those particular shots, I guess. I think Carl Froch was probably insinuating. So anyway, I think there's a lot of questions there, but we see the end result. The powers that be, the people with a lot of money, and people that are backing Anthony Joshua, investors with a lot of money, or the people arranging the fight, hopefully with Tyson Fury, now it's going to come off. We are going to see probably Anthony Joshua most likely fight Tyson Fury. Yes, they're both past their primes. And maybe even Anthony Joshua, as many people have said, they think, even if Carl Froch thinks that he's convinced that, Anthony Joshua's chin is totally shot. I don't know. I'm not going to say yay or nay on that. I have no idea. There has been, a lot of questions about Anthony Joshua's chin, and maybe it is more compromised. It would only make sense. He's taken more damage. He's been in this tragic car accidents, for heaven's sakes. But I don't know. I mean, Carl Froch thinks his chin is totally shot. So I just hope, I guess my point is on that, I really hope, and we all hope, Anthony Joshua is a great guy and a great man. We hope that he doesn't get serious damage. Especially, now coming up with another fight with Tyson Fury, right? We want all these fighters to to live their good lives, right, in retirement and not have dementia or other, because again, boxing, we understand it's the hurt business. It's a very, very dangerous sport. There can be very much, we know, ramifications for future, for your faculties, for thinking, for memory, etc. And it can get very bad at times, depending on how much punishment you've taken. So I think Anthony Joshua will be okay. Let's hope so. And going forward. But again, you just question, was this fight fixed, particularly when round 2 came to be, and Anthony Joshua was so hurt in round 1 and looked like he was going to lose the fight, potentially. Did somebody tell Prenga, you got to take a dive? Those are the questions that are not only am I asking, but other people. By the way, before I go, my friends, I love Teddy Atlas's analysis normally. I think he's a great man overall, great person, and he does great work with his son. His son seems to be really cool as well. But I wonder, why doesn't Teddy Atlas, he's normally a great truth teller, but he's not telling you, apparently. He doesn't even want to address the conspiracy theories out there or address, didn't this fight look strange to you, Teddy Atlas? I would ask you, Teddy. Why aren't you talking about it, Teddy? Why aren't you talking about why did Kristian Prenga only throw 17 punches apparently in round 2? Why did Kristian Prenga come out with this sort of low energy in round 2? Why didn't he go right after Anthony Joshua? Don't tell me he would be so tired, or that his handlers would tell him, oh, just be cautious. Maybe his handlers told him that. But don't you think, Teddy Atlas, the people that believe that this fight was fixed or could have been fixed, why don't you bring that up, Teddy Atlas? Isn't that a possibility? Why don't you bring up what Carl Froch's expert analysis has said? That, again, Prenga, he gets in a clinch, he looks at his corner, takes a few steps back, he's got his hands sort of half up, half down, Carl Froch says, and, he also threw maybe just a right hand, a couple of jabs, that's about it, and then he takes a few clips, and then he collapses on the canvas. Was that all legit, or is that part of a script? I don't know. But Teddy Atlas isn't bringing any of that up, and I wonder why. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, but Teddy Atlas gives usually great analysis. Thanks so much, everyone, for listening to me and my channel. I'm Jason, Boxing and Fitness, of course. Again, I hope you subscribe, give me that thumbs up. Feel free to leave me a comment, all that good stuff. Share this video, and I really appreciate your time. And again, have an amazing, beautiful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. And feel free to tell me what country you are from, because I want to know, okay? Thanks, everyone. Till next time. Anthony Joshua is fighting Tyson Fury next. Let's watch for his next fight. And I tell you, Anthony Joshua is never in a boring fight. This guy is super exciting, one way or another. So, and he's a great fighter. It's just, it was a very, very strange 2 rounds, especially round 2, I thought, with Kristian Prenga, and a lot of people are talking about. So I just thought I'd give my 2 cents worth. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.